Hi, Noah Digital Community. We today have a startup I'm actually personally invested in. I think it was like 4 years ago by now. And Steffen has built his dream. And I have the great opportunity to interview him today. I would say it's the first official interview after the last investment round, which gave him a logo wrap. I guess it was Fidelity who came on board. And it's just one of those stories, executing. So today we want to take a step back, and it's relevant for most NOAA conference attendees. Either they are entrepreneurs or they are working in the fund industry. So we are all curious to hear where you got to with Moonfare at this point.
Look, thanks first of all, Marco, for having us today here in your session. It's fantastic to be here. Quickly on my background. So I started my career with BCG in Germany. Very soon after 6 years, I decided to do something entrepreneurial. I was building my first, you would call it today, fintech company, joined KKR in 2004 after I've sold it. And then I left 2015 KKR. And there was one thing that I was convinced was missing in the landscape of private equity investing, which is really giving people, ordinary people, still wealthy people, but ordinary people, access to an asset class that is unbeatable when it comes to risk and return. As you know, Marco, in private equity, if you go with the best funds, you generate returns, historically speaking, of 20% and more on an annual basis. But the problem is that most private individuals are left out. And why is it? Because the minimum hurdle to invest into these funds is at 10 million and above. And we operationally started just 3 years ago in 2018 with our first funds. And since then, we had close to 30 private equity, and we are speaking here really of the who's who of the industry, private equity funds such as EQT, KKR, Carlyle, Cinven, Apex, but also best of US tech funds, Founders Fund, Insight, Kostler, and so on and so forth on the platform, so that our community could really start to invest digitally and build their own private equity and venture capital portfolio.
Walk us through, like, who are your customers, what they're coming for, what's usually the mix they have, and like also how much are they engaged with the platform?
Look, it all starts with the right selection of the fund. Yeah, and this is something that we do for our community. We have a team of 10 people from within the industry. So they have been in private equity, have been doing fund selection for years. And we are looking at more than 100 funds in a given year. And then, 10 to 15 make it to the platform. So there's a high degree of quality ensuring. But what makes us really special, Marco, you know that I've been sitting on the other side for 13 years with KKR. So I had investors asking me the nasty questions. Yeah. And what we really try is to look forward. And as we know the industry, but also the key players in the industry, we know their preferences. We know how much they are still engaged. We know who are the deal makers really behind the scene. We have some insights that others don't necessarily have in that way. And that makes us special, that we really believe we are picking the best funds.
So if you pick for the different appetites of the investor, the best corresponding fund, I think that's a huge value add on its own. Apart from that, you enable access by reducing the ticket size 20x. So.
No, look, I'm glad that you're mentioning it, Marco. That was deliberately, when we started the platform, we didn't want to create just a marketplace. Yeah, because for an investment of 200K, it starts at 50K in our case, but it's a lot of money. So we wanted to make sure. And this is why you find really the great names of the industry on our platform. We don't take, the newcomer around the block. We take really firms that have an established track record over years, that have managed to get through the financial crisis, that have established strategies and teams. This is what we like. We are trying to make investing into private equity mainstream. This is what is meant with democratization. This is why we have products, diversified portfolios that starts as little, don't get me wrong, it's still a lot of money, as 50,000 euros. So you can invest with 50,000 euros in a bunch of private equity funds or a bunch of US tech funds. And this is really relevant for a broad range of people. Yeah? The largest untapped pool of capital sits in the hands of private individuals. So the market that should be in private equity, but is not, is as large as the entire institutional market. And from a strategic perspective, of course, the leading GPs have understood that private markets go retail. There's this famous quote from Blackstone from 3 years ago, which is really a revolutionary development in the industry. This became a theme now for more or less each and every GP.
It is the crown asset class, and to access it on a systematic way, you want to give your money to smart people. Alone, the luxury of a family office is ludicrous, because the smart people are the ones who get the deals because they are hired to do so. If you invest on your own, it's tough.
You have two options. You can go direct and you pick and choose. This is what many of our investors do. But if you say, look, I want to have a one-stop solution of a diversified portfolio of funds in buyout or in US technology and growth, and it gives you the opportunity with starting at 50,000 euros to invest into a basket of super growth managers or US technology funds such as Insight or Andreessen or Kostler or these guys.
So you have those economics and then you package it. So you are like a reseller of private equity.
What really is the value proposition that we are bringing? We are talking a lot about giving access. This curation thing is very important. Second thing is we are bringing down the minimums to as little as 50,000 euros, but there are two more. The third one is really that we also provide liquidity. So you can trade your LP stake, your stake in a KKR or in a Carlyle, and after a year, if you need it for some reasons or you have changed your mind, you can access to liquidity.
I looked at your platform, obviously, as an investor. I like the gamification. I mean, tell me how many people are signed up and how many actually invest?
Today, we have 10,000 registered users. We have more than 1,300 investors, people that invested, and the average size is 250,000 euros. And the incredible thing, really, which is for me, every time when I see that stat, a surprise, we are getting 10,000 wealthy, high net worth individuals on the platform per year, registering, and we are doing little to no marketing. So there's an incredible network and word of mouth effect because people understand the beauty really of our product.
What are you promising your investors as a return? Is it like, look at private equity, it's always like 20, 30%, or what can you say on that?
So the stats, tell you that net returns and with the top, and this is selection, the curation is important. With the top private equity funds, you have generated more than 20% in return. Let's talk more forward-looking stats. And here I take a stat from the professional market. If you take institutional investors, the most professional investors globally, they allocate up to 50% of their total allocation to private markets. The private individual is allocating 3%. And here you see a huge mismatch. Yeah?
Market access.
Market access, convenience, curation, all the topics that we are solving. And this is where really, the opportunity, not only for us, but also for the individual is. In a zero to negative interest environment, with high volatility in the stock markets and inflation in valuation, what you are seeing in the public markets. You said it earlier, the value creation, and this is really very important to understand for everyone that is listening, is happening in private markets.
It's interesting that paradoxically you have chosen I guess your private equity, well, you do a little of venture capital, but the way you set up your business, it's based on a network group of angels, more or less, right? And that helps you really to become the credible platform, because in your industry, at these amounts, it's all about trust and credibility. And do influencers matter in your industry? Do you have them?
Of course, Marco. This is why it's so glad and so important that you support us. We have influencers, our shareholders, many of our customers. And then, there's one thing I'm also, if I may say, particularly proud of. We have a program, it's called Ambassador Program. And we launched the program roughly 15 months ago. And since the beginning of the program until now, we have more than 1,200 ambassadors that are spreading the word for Moonfare, just because they like the idea and they want to be part of our mission to democratize the marketplace.
We are glad to have you, and we will have you again at the next conference in Zurich in December 7 and 8. Topic is sustainability and e-government, which might be linked. The idea is how digital and tech makes sustainability profitable.